It's not often on this show we get a coach who's been there and done that with the British and Irish Lions. It's all going on in South Africa right now. Having to do it in front of no fans, incredibly, you'd have to say, competitive competition going on right now. It's 1-1. They're going to a third test. What's it going to take to get across the line? You've been there. You know how challenging it is to take this team on tour. Who do you see coming out on top of this?
I think the Lions have lost some momentum. You know, the South Africans played better, obviously, and won convincingly. They've got a better scrum, the South Africans, and they've got a more astute kicking game, I think, and more guys who can kick astutely in the back line. So I think the Lions have got ahead of them. They get up from here, it'll be amazing.
Jeff mentioned before, you've been there, but this is a difficult team to coach because you've got 4 different nations. You know, and there's always talk about selection issues and things like that. How do you keep a culture like that and make sure guys are happy to win this? Because they're a different kettle of fish, those guys over in the Northern Hemisphere, mate, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I didn't get it right, Millsy. So, you know, if you had your chance again, I think you'd use the players a lot more in leading the team and a group of them, you know. So I led from the front, which was the wrong thing to do when I had them. And I look back on that, and that's a learning experience. And I'm sure Warren's done this, the 3rd time now? Yeah. And I'm sure he's doing that. I just think they need to play a lot more football, the Lions, if they're going to get a result, because the South Africans have probably got the wood on them up front, particularly at scrum, and their kicking game's better.
Ted, just on that, 2 really similar types of play between the 2 teams. Do you think a week is long enough to change game plan and come out and look at it slightly differently?
Well, if the Lions don't change the game plan and use the ball a lot more, I don't think they're going to get the result they need. So I don't think they've got a choice. If they want to win, they've got to play. That's fair. And so like at the moment, it's a hard watch, isn't it? You people have been watching it. It's a hard watch, and both sides are playing similar football, kicking a lot, big defences. Somebody's got to find some attacking flair to win this game. The Springboks will win if they continue the same way. The game continues the same way.
I know you would have been keeping an eye on what's happening in South Africa in terms of that contest between the British and Irish Lions and South Africa, and it's been very clear that this has been about defence and about kicking, and the fact that we know that at the highest stage, when we've come up against teams that defence have been really, really strong, that put us under pressure. You look at those games and the way that game's being played right now, is that the biggest challenge for the All Blacks? Is still breaking down the strong defences that have developed over the last couple of years?
Yeah, look, it definitely is. I mean, that's the way the game's gone. It's very defensive, and I think, you know, we get criticised if we don't sort of break open a rush defence all the time. But I think what you've seen in South Africa is when 2 teams do it against each other, the risk-reward side, if you don't want to take any risks, then you kick. And so that's what we're seeing over there. We're seeing 2 teams where I guess the reward of a Lions series victory is so big is that the risk factors sort of, they're trying to minimise it right down to the bottom, and it's all about a pressure game. And so at the moment it's an arm wrestle. So, you know, you've got to take credence. It's a tough series, and we'll see what happens. But for us, our challenge is that's not a style that we like playing a lot of. We've got to get better at dealing with it, but I've also got to get better at maybe having a little bit more patience and playing it and making people guess a little bit more when they want to defend us like that.
What we do know is that you're playing a Bledisloe Cup this weekend. What we don't know is where you're playing the next one and when the next one after that's going to be and what's going to follow in the Rugby Championship. Is there an element of frustration, the fact that you can only really prepare for what you know this week, and would you like some security and knowledge about where you're going to be heading in the short term?
I'll answer the last question first. Yes, I would. It's the life of a coach at the moment, but I think you know, there's obviously it's complicated for some reasons behind the scene, but you know, we fully expect to be playing here next week. You know, that's our plan, and then we fully expect after a few days off to be jumping on a plane, and we're committed to the Rugby Championship in whatever form it might be. So it's not the way we wanted it to be, the Rugby Championship, but you know, it is what it is in this current times. But is it difficult? Yes, it is, but ultimately it's the same for both teams, and doesn't change the fact that on the 7th of August the whistle's going to go and we get into it.
And there's a Bledisloe Cup on the line, and
yeah,
that for you guys is the trophy every year, and we've talked about it. Have you noticed when you've come into camp that that passion well and truly? The moment they step onto that field, get on the plane, they come into camp, the Bledisloe Cup. Is there a different intensity about it?
Oh, look, it's special for us. You know, I think we've said before that, you know, for us as Kiwis, for an All Black team, and I think for our nation, if you put the Webb Ellis at the top of the tree, obviously, and that's not in the cabinet, that's disappointing. The Bledisloe is kind of the next most important trophy for us. So, you know, it brings out the best of them, and it's got to bring the best out of us. And so, you know, we can't wait. It's something that we look forward to every year, and I think the fact we're playing at Eden Park, forget about all the cloud about after that, we've got a game this week to look forward to.
Fozzie, I for one am rapt that you're here for this. Each time on the show we debate the first five.
Oh, oh not that one again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So much so that we've pulled some stats on the first five. And as you can see, they're pretty hard to pull apart. Kind of 9 points per game, tries per game. Similar, defenders beaten, both of them easily beating defences, goal kicking on par, try assists per game, really similar. I just wanted to get your feedback on how you, I suppose, pull them apart. What makes a difference for the first fives when you're choosing a team?
Yeah, good question. Based on those stats, I might pick both of them. It's, look, I think it's, you know, clearly we've got two guys we've got an incredible amount of faith in, and so right now it's, you know, I don't think there's one thing that's better or worse for either of them really. It's we're just gauging training. We're training the physical side, the mental side. Obviously we both had very different build-ups this year and how they've gone about it. You know, I think clearly we will be utilising both of them throughout this campaign, both in starting roles and off the bench. So I'm quite happy to do that because we've got a lot of faith in either of them. The key thing, right, is the world sees selection as ultimate judgment, don't they? And it's and ultimately in some ways it is, but in other ways we're just trying to drive the performance of both of them up and up and up. And like I said, inside the camp, really delighted with how they've both taken on the challenge.
Fozzie, I mean, this is obviously the biggest headache selection, but you've got some others as well. You know, have you been happy with the way your midfield combination have gone? Particularly, you know, a couple of them have been a little bit inexperienced in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, actually, I've been really pleased with it. I think, you know, I think we highlighted before the Steinlager series that there was some real opportunity there, and you know, we've seen, you know, we've seen Rico's continual growth, and again, I thought he was a big tick where he went in the Steinlager series, and part of that was on the wing as well. So we're delighted he's keeping both those barrels loaded because it's important to us. Anton, well, you know, he only played in that third test with an injury, so he's still coming back. David Avila, you know, after a long period out of the black jersey, you know, I thought really showed a lot of composure and a lot of growth. So, and then you put the debutant Quinton, and I thought he was sensational his first test, you know. And so we're pleased with the depth we're starting to go. Clearly we will narrow that down, and you'll see very soon, I guess, where we're thinking. And but it won't probably be the only combination we use this year.